Today's not really Star Wars Day. The real Star Wars Day is May 25th.
We know. I was one of these guys also. You'll see some of them today, but I've come to accept it. I can see Star Wars Hardcore Fan Day as May 25th, but I've embraced May 4th as that's the common day for Star Wars fans to celebrate Star Wars, where you get the, people that really don't think about Star Wars once a year talk about Star Wars. And I figured, hey, I've got to do videos today. So I said, what am I going to do? Well, haven't really done what I guess is a story time video where I just kind of talk about Star Wars. Now, a lot of you like my stories about buying action figures in the 80s, seeing Star Wars for the first time, using Star Wars to try to get the love of my life, a girl named Amy in like the 4th grade. And I'm actually trying to put all these into a book, and if I quit being lazy, maybe I can get it done. But today I wanted to talk about, instead of Star Wars, about Empire Strikes Back. Now, when Star Wars came out in 1977, I was just about to turn 5. Don't have much memory of it. I have more of a memory of Star Wars after seeing it. I remember playing it. I remember buying the first figures that we saw at Zayre's. But I don't really have much memories of going to see it unless it was one of the re-releases. But when it comes to Empire Strikes Back, I was probably 8, I think, if my math is right. And I can remember going to see The Empire Strikes Back without a doubt. Now, you're saying this is going to be a story about Junkman the first time he saw The Empire Strikes Back and how he had to go to school that day and sit on the edge of his seat. He couldn't wait! A new Star Wars movie was on the horizon! But no, that's not what this story is going to be about. This one here is about the second time I saw The Empire Strikes Back. It was a week after the original release, and I wanted to go see it. I had a friend, I've talked about him before, lived across the street from me. His name was Boyd. We went to school together. He was more into sports than I was. He was really into Little League. He was also into church camp and Sunday school, and I was like, I don't want to do anything that has the word school on it on the weekends. But he was into that, and nothing against religious people or anything. We just didn't do a lot of stuff I wasn't into, but we were friends. I mean, back then your friend was whoever was closest to your house, and he lived across the street. Couldn't get much closer than that unless he lived with me, and then he wouldn't be a friend, he would be a relative. So, we were friends. We had a lot in common also, and throughout this time, I've grown a lot from being around 5 to the time Empire came out. I know it was only 3 years, and you're thinking, well, how much could you grow before a kid that was 5, 6 right in that range for Star Wars to 8 and 9 right there around that range for Empire? You grow a lot. So within that time, I've had a lot of Star Wars toys. I was obsessed with Star Wars, making of on TV, any little hint of Star Wars on television, I was watching it. And this was back before you couldn't see Star Wars on HBO or video release or anything. So I was on edge of the first week it came out. Empire Strikes Back was there. I couldn't wait. And I don't exactly remember who all went. I probably went to see it with my brother, but I probably got dropped off by my grandparents. They probably went to Kmart or something, shop to find a blue light special or something, and then came back and picked us up. My grandma loved those blue light specials, let me tell you what. So I know I went to see it with him, had a good time, but I was just, Star Wars was great, I loved it, but Empire. Now, I wasn't the huge Empire fan that I am today. Empire is the best of them all. It's the standard of all movie sequels, if you ask me. But back then, I did love it, don't get me wrong. But as a kid, I was more into Return of the Jedi. Once it got released, I was like, Return of the Jedi is my movie. And I think a lot of you probably felt like that. As we were kids, young teenagers, or about to be teenagers, preteens. Jedi was the one that was most just fun. But then we got a little older, we liked stuff a little darker, and we started getting into Empire more. And A New Hope, or as we call it, Star Wars, was still there as the spark that started it all, and we loved it for that reason right there. But, of course, I fell in love with Empire Strikes Back after I got a little older. And, again, it's not to say I didn't love Empire when it came out. I was obsessed with it. I loved it. It just didn't become my favorite until I got older. So I went to see Empire. I remember getting excited for it. I remember after it, I could not believe. Now, there was a scene where who is the other? You know, when Yoda's like, hey, Luke, there's another one. But I don't remember that. That never registered in my head. It wasn't something I thought about. I probably heard it and just didn't care. It wasn't like the big reveal of Vader and Luke. That one boggled my mind. I was obsessed. I was like, Luke. I was like, Darth Vader's lying. He tells the Emperor dude. He says to him, I'll do anything to make him join us. And I thought that was my clue. That was a lie. So it has to be a lie. Has to be a lie. I can remember my brother and I had the Topps Empire cards, and we're going through them and stuff, and there was a question on there about Luke's father or something, about Luke and Vader, and I remember my brother discussing it then, and my brother's like, no, it's his dad, come on. Even Luke kind of accepts it at the end when he called him father, and I was like, no, it's a lie. It can't be true. This is the most evil thing in the galaxy. But anyway, I saw Empire and then went back to school that Monday. And I can remember, I don't have a very good memory sometimes, but there's some things that stick with you. And I'll be honest, maybe through the years, I've thought about this story and connected a little bit of it to myself, added a little bit to it. But I can remember going back to school Monday. Here I was ready, and I thought everybody's going to be talking Empire Strikes Back. It was the movie to see of the weekend. So, here I was. Couldn't wait. I didn't have internet during the weekend or anything. And I don't remember talking to my friend Boyd during the weekend, which is me and my brother. We were talking Empire. So Monday came. I could not wait. Got to school. Wouldn't you know it? What was everybody talking about? Was it Empire Strikes Back? No, it wasn't Empire Strikes Back. Seems that weekend at my school was homecoming, or I don't know, maybe it wasn't homecoming, maybe it was Little League World Series. I don't know what it was, but it was some big sports event. Now, I went to a private school that was probably about 30 miles from the town I live in, and it was in a little small, more country town. A lot of farmers there. I don't know why. There was I had a lot of friends that grew up on farms, and they just like to play sports, and they didn't want to drive 30 miles to the movie theater because this little town didn't even have a movie theater. It was kind of like I was from the big city, but really, I was just on the outskirts of the city. And I remember getting to school, and I was like, okay, I can't wait to talk with my friend Grady. I said, I got to ask him. Yeah, I had a friend named Grady. I know it sounds like an old man. I got to ask him what he thinks about the big reveal. Didn't see it. I said, you see Empire Strikes Back? And I remember him saying, nah, I'll see it one day. One day. This was the sequel to the greatest movie ever made, and you're going to see it someday? What's wrong with these farm kids? Now that's what you call a farm boy. Farm boy Grady. So I can ask some other people around school, hey, what do you think? And nobody saw it. I couldn't believe it. Here's the biggest movie ever. And they're all talking about some football game or something. How a quarterback made a pass at a tight end and scored. I was like, that just don't sound like nothing I'm into. Not at all. Anyway, so I talked to Boyd. I was like, hey, finally, let's talk Empire Strikes Back. And he's like, I hadn't seen it yet. We had some kind of church function or something. We couldn't go. So I said, this next weekend, Saturday, me and you, we're going to see The Empire Strikes Back. It's a done deal. And he said, I don't know. I think I got a Little League game. I said, oh, screw your Little League game. But we couldn't screw his Little League game. So instead of going Friday night, we were first playing, we had to move it this Saturday after the game. So we made a plan to go see it. And, well, the plan didn't work out to start with because I asked my parents, and they were like, you just saw that movie last weekend. Why do you want to go see a movie again you already seen? I said, Dad, Mom, you don't understand. This is the sequel to the greatest movie of all times. And they just didn't get it. But finally bugged them enough where they said, hey, we can get him out of the house. We don't have to hear his stuttering or his hick accent anymore. Get him to the movie theater. We want to look at him for about 2.5 hours. And that got me to the theater. But then we had to, go to Boyd's house and get his mom on board. And when we first told her, she said, we were like, hey, I want to take your son with me to go see The Empire Strikes Back. And thought it was going to be easy still. Everybody knows what The Empire Strikes Back is. It was the most talked about thing all year. People couldn't wait for it. So what does Boyd's mother say? First, she asked us the tough question. What's it rated? Is it rated R? Who is this lady? She loves Star Wars? The sequel to Star Wars was rated R? Come on, lady. So I had to say, I was like, I promise you it's not rated R. She's like, I don't know. She said the title sounds like an R-rated movie. And I was like, what? The Empire Strikes? How does that sound like an R-rated movie? But I remember she looked at the newspaper. That's what we did back then. We looked at newspapers for the showtime and the ratings. And she looked it up and she was like, okay, it's rated PG. You can go see it. But then she has one catch. Only if Junkman kid's parents go with him. His mom, my mom, or my dad, or whoever's taking us. This brought back some trouble because although my parents would take me to the movies, I never really remember my parents going to the movies with me. Most of the time they didn't even take me. It was my grandma. I can remember my grandma took me to see Roxanne with Steve Martin, and she sat in there and watched it with me. I don't know why I wanted to see Roxanne so bad. I mean, I like Steve Martin. I guess that's why I went to see it. Just odd movie to see with your grandma. But getting way off topic. So I was like, how am I going to sell this to boy's mom? Because I know my parents ain't going to go see Empire Strikes Back. You know, they hadn't seen anything since The Private Eyes, and they didn't laugh one time. I like, this is Don Knotts and Tim Conway. How'd you not laugh one time? But so I said, like, okay, yeah, my mom's taking it. See, I tried to get around the loophole. I said, my mom's taking us, or I said, my dad's taking us, right? It wasn't really a lie. They were taking us. Just kind of made it seem like we were going to go with them. And she said, well, is your parents going to go see it also, or they're going to drop you off and come back? And I knew not to answer that question. I said, you do not answer that question. One, wasn't going to let Boyd answer that question because he wouldn't lie. He was a good Christian kid. He wouldn't lie to his mother. Me, on the other hand, not only would I lie to my mother, I damn sure gonna lie to a stranger. So I said they're gonna go see it with us, and cross my fingers that the next thing didn't come out was let me talk to them, because that's what I didn't want to get into. But luckily she fell for it. She said okay, because I don't think she wanted to talk to my parents. I don't think she liked my parents too much. I don't think she liked me too much. She really hated my brother ever since he shot a bottle rocket from my house over the top of their house into their backyard, and she came out screaming, you could have killed one of my children, you could have put their eye out. Lady, just a bottle rocket, calm down. So there we go. Got Boyd on board. So I got him on board. It's probably in the middle of the week. I was so excited when we were at school. I was talking about it. It's almost here. A couple more days. Empire Strikes Back. And then he's like, yeah. He wasn't excited. I was like, why aren't you excited as I am? I could not understand that. And I had to remind him, you like Star Wars? And he's like, yeah, Star Wars was great. You got the Star Wars toys, right? Yeah, I got Star Wars. You know, we play Star Wars all the time in my backyard. Well, ain't you excited to see the further adventures of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, the droids, the Wookiee? Don't you want to see what Darth Vader is up to? And if he's going to get his comeuppings like he should? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. I didn't understand why nobody was so excited. I was wearing Star Wars shoes, for God's sakes. That's how excited I was. So there it was. Saturday rolled around, and I'm at home by myself, right? He's at his little league or whatever it is, some kind of wasted time thing, and I have to wait it out. Again, this is before the internet. Hell, this is before video games. I might have had Atari where I could play Haunted House or Combat or something, but no. This was one of them days that just dragged and dragged. I think I woke up Saturday, watched a little bit of Smurfs, probably watched a little, I don't know if Alvin and the Chipmunks probably wasn't on then. I don't know what I watched, but I watched a little cartoons, tried to wait out the day, and then about noontime, the news came on. You know, it shows that globe at CBS. You were watching cartoons on CBS, you know, it showed this globe of CBS News, and it spin around and give you some boring news. So I knew then I got to get out of the house. Okay, so, you know, wasted some time. I got some woods behind my house. We'll go back there, waste a little bit of time, go to my room, play with my little Star Wars figures or whatnot. Whole time in my room, kept looking out my window, because right across from my window was Boyd's house, and I could see the parking lot, the driveway, so I could see if he was home. If I heard any car pass by, I was looking out the window. I don't know why I was such a... I knew what time the movie started, so it didn't matter what time he got home. I couldn't leave then anyway, so I kept looking, waited, and finally he got home, and I ran across the street, and I was like, it's time! We've got a couple more hours. We're gonna go to the Empire Strikes Back. Ain't you excited? And he was He looked tired. He looked like wore out. And I was like, what? You still not excited to see this movie? He's like, I struck out 3 times today during the game. Here I am trying to talk Star Wars, and this guy wants to talk about sports. And I was like, is that bad or is that good? I didn't know. Is that good or bad? And he was like, well, it's horrible. We lost the game because of me. And I said, you know what'll make you feel better? Seeing some Darth Vader. That's right, seeing Darth Vader. He even tried to tell him that Boba Fett's in this movie, and he had the nerve to say, who is Boba Fett? It's like, dude, I play with the Boba Fett figure every time we play Star Wars. So there it was. I got him. His energy's low. He's out of breath. He looks dirty. He wants to go take a bath on a Saturday. A kid wants to take a bath on a Saturday. Willingly. I mean, he wants to take a bath by himself. He wants to go take a bath. Nobody told him to. So, I know it's a long story, right? We finally, we're in the car. My dad's driving. We're on our way to see The Empire Strikes Back. And I can remember, had a original Han Solo figure in my hand, taking it with me, and I had Chewbacca. I had them both, put them in my blue jean pocket when I got out of the car, and I didn't have a blue jean vest on. I had blue jeans, jeans on, blue jeans. Boy didn't have anything with him, but he seemed to get a little bit more excited now. He wasn't as, the game was still on his mind, I could tell, but he kind of pushed it aside. I think he was more trying to humor me to go see The Empire Strikes Back. So there we are. Get out of the car. Get to the theater. There was a long line. Even for the second weekend, I remember there was a long line. I was like, whew. Today, I wouldn't even know if I was standing. I don't stand in lines. Ugh, hate standing in lines. But we got inside. We picked our seats. Sit down. I can remember the smell of the theater. And these were these old school theaters. You kids today, your stadium seatings. We had, it was on a little ramp, a little decline. But if somebody sat in front of you with an afro or a top hat, didn't you hate when somebody sat in front of you with a top hat? He couldn't see the movie. But we sat there, and I remember he had this big old, it seemed like it was huge to me. Maybe just because I was a kid, had those little eyes, but it's huge, I think, of popcorn, and he's digging in through the popcorn and everything. I'm getting excited. The lights go dark. Everything's quiet, and you see the 20th Century Fox logo up there. That music, man. Even if it's not a Star Wars movie, when I hear that 20th Century fanfare, that just gets me into the Star Wars spirit. Fades out, Lucas logo, the original Lucas production logo. And then, of course, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Getting excited just thinking about it. Great times, right, guys? Great times. So there we were. Boom! Star Wars on the screen. And now my heart's racing. I've already seen this movie. I'm already excited. I'm running through my head. I'm going to see a Tauntaun. I'm going to see the Wampa. I'm going to see the battle on Hoth. I'm going to see AT-ATs. I'm going to see this. I'm going to see that. The big Darth Vader reveal. Yoda! We didn't even know what Yoda... Well, at least Boy didn't even know what Yoda looked like. I was getting excited. And I looked over at Boy, he's eating popcorn. He's not excited. I was like... I leaned over. I was like, hold on. It's finna get really good. Because it was showing the crawl text. And, as kids, we didn't want to read that. We wanted to get on with the movie. So it went on up the thing and started, panned down, the Tauntaun. Don't worry, I'm not going to go over the whole movie. You've seen The Empire Strikes Back. But I can remember, I was into it. I was zoned in watching that movie and not even paying attention to anyone around me. And I can remember when it first showed Yoda. And we're skipping ahead, of course, when it first shows Yoda. Remember Yoda the Jedi Master when he's first revealed? Now, this is my second time seeing it, so I knew it was Yoda when he was talking to Luke Skywalker, but of course, the people in the theater that hadn't seen it didn't know that, and more importantly, my friend Boyd didn't know that either, so getting kind of excited, I want to watch him. I said, hey, let's see if he's excited as I am when they're finna say, this is a little later with the back of the hood, he's finna reveal he is Yoda. When they reveal and Ben starts talking. I get to hear Ben's voice. I look over at Boyd. And he's just looking at the popcorn. Not even looking up at the movie screen. This is the greatest sequel of all times. This is The Empire Strikes Back. And you'd rather look at popcorn. So I said, that popcorn good? I was kind of offended, not to be honest with you. I was like, come on. This is a big shocking part of the movie here. Yoda. That is Yoda. He's like, this is good popcorn. And I said, that's Yoda on the screen. And he said, who? I said, Yoda. And he asked me again, who's Yoda? He leaned over and, who's Yoda? I said, he's the Jedi Master that taught Obi-Wan Kenobi how to be a Jedi Knight. And now he's fixing to teach young Luke Skywalker. And he said, Then looked back down at his popcorn and keep eating it. So I can remember getting through the movie. Han is about to be frozen in carbonite. There he is, in Bespin, tied up, we're handcuffed up. Chewbacca's screaming, knocking stormtroopers over and everything. They lower him down in the pit. My heart's racing. I've already seen this movie, but still, I'm like, maybe they re-edited it. You know George Lucas. Maybe Han Solo will escape this time. Han Solo was my favorite. Say what you will about Luke Skywalker. I was a Han Solo kid. There's two types of kids growing up. Han Solo kids, Luke Skywalker kids. And by far, I was a Han Solo kid. So there he comes out. He lifts up. He's in that block of ice. Boom! You know what I'm talking about. Slams down that good around sound in that theater. That block hitting the ground. You can hear it. It's a really exciting time. I look over at Boyd, and there he is again with his face in the popcorn bowl. A bowl, a bag, or bucket, whatever it was. I mean, he's down in it deep. You know, I'm talking about he's getting down there with the crumbs. He's putting his finger around the edge, licking the butter and everything. I don't know why it takes someone 2 hours to eat popcorn, but it was a pretty big bowl, box, or whatever you want to call it, of popcorn. And I was like, he's still alive. And I whispered that. I was like, he's still alive. And there he goes again. Who? He asked me who's still alive. So, you know, I don't want to get upset. Han Solo's still alive. And he said, why wouldn't he be? It's like this dude, is he even watching the movie? So I point at the screen, you know, because they're showing the carbonite and everything, and he's frozen and then good. And he said, oh, they put him to sleep. Put him to sleep. So we're watching the movie, everything, and then Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. They're fighting with their lightsabers, man. It's amazing. And I know it's coming. So I'm going to make sure this time. I said, boy's not going to be eating his popcorn. It's all gone anyway. So I'm going to kind of nudge him during the fight. And this, I looked over at Boyd, who was throughout the movie, you know, he was watching it. He was looking at his popcorn. He was watching it. I think he was standing up a couple of times. One time I caught him sitting on his head with his feet up on top of the back of the chair. I don't understand. You know, kids. But, you know, nudging him. We were watching the lightsaber battle. We were loving it. He was excited. I could see it in his eyes. I was like, yeah, this is my friend back in the Star Wars mode that he should be in. We're watching it. Luke Skywalker gets his hands cut off. Ah! He screams and everything. Now, here goes the big reveal. I'm looking at Boyd. He's focused in on it. And he's like, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. And Luke's calling down, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. No, I am your father. The whole theater was quiet when he said this, right? Because, you know, we were all in shock. Everybody was shocked. And then, right about the time, you know, just a few seconds, it wasn't too long after I heard it. It was really third. And I heard, good goof. Good goof. My friend Boyd said, good goof. And I looked over at him. I was like, that's kind of a strange reaction. Good goof. I'm like, good goof? He's like, did you hear what he said? He was excited as I, you know, he was in shock. He's like, I was like, yeah. He said he's Darth Vader. Says he looks his dad. He said that. He's a good goof. I never heard that term before, good goof. And I don't think I ever heard it again. In fact, I kind of feel silly saying good goof now. And as you know, he falls down the hole, and I lean over and I say, you think he's lying? And of course, Boyd, being Boyd, said, who? I said, do you think Darth Vader's lying? Looked over at me and he said, lying about what? Kids. I said, about being Darth Vader's about being his dad, about being Luke's dad. You know, Obi-Wan told us a whole different story. You think Darth Vader's lying just to get him to join the dark side? And I can remember this more than anything in the story. I can remember this one. He said, Darth Vader can't lie. He's an adult. I guess that's just the mind of an 8-year-old. Because never had to put it to me like that. Never, I always thought Darth Vader can lie. He's the evil Darth Vader. How can he not lie? So I said, well, I guess, once we saw Return of the Jedi, I saw he didn't lie. Maybe he did have a point that he couldn't lie. But this just summed up my friend Boyd and maybe his worldview at the time. That he is an adult talking to a younger person, not yet an adult, a Luke Skywalker, a very young adult, if that, saying something that's shocking to him, and he just has to admit that, hey, adults don't lie, even if you're Darth Vader. So we saw Empire Strikes Back. I remember leaving the theater. I was excited. I was like, what'd you think? Did you like that one? Did you like The Empire Strikes Back? And he's like, yeah, it's okay. It was good. It was okay. And I was like, oh, what do you mean it was okay? It was awesome. It was awesome, wasn't it? And he was like, yeah, I was kind of confused by what was going on. Confused. So it's not that hard of a movie talking here, I was like, why are you confused? And he couldn't really explain why he was confused. He said, why were they running from Darth Vader, and why didn't they just fight the Empire? And I was like, it would just get to. So we rode in the car, talked about it. We tried to discuss the father-son thing again, and he was all like, no, he's not going to lie to Luke. If he lies to Luke, he gets caught lying, and then Luke will never trust him and never want to join the Empire. I thought, well, okay, that makes kind of sense right there. And I gave him my theories of why I thought that he was lying to pull Luke over, to make him hate Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Boyd wasn't having it. He was like, no, he wouldn't lie about that. It's too much of a risk to lie. One thing is adult, he doesn't lie, and it's too risky. He wants to use the truth to get Luke on his side. I said, okay, that's another good point also. So we had a lot of good points, and made me question myself too if it was true or not. For 3 years I asked myself. I went from it's true to it's not true to it's kind of true, it's probably half true, maybe it's his stepfather, maybe that's the trick, maybe it's a lie, but it's kind of true. Who knows, right? We're talking Darth Vader here. But that was it. That was my second time seeing The Empire Strikes Back. I don't know how entertaining that story was. It was like it didn't have really a good story arc, or it didn't leave me hanging and wanting more. Just a basic story, but I thought I would share. You guys like when I share some of my stories, and it's May 4th, so why not share it? So let me know in the comments below some Star Wars stories you have of seeing Star Wars maybe for the first time, or maybe like this story for the second time. Well, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget, let May the Force be with you, and thumb us around like my content. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.